YouTube? My name is Ben, your daily trader, and today we're going to be talking about the AMD cycle as well as the smart money trap for entries. Now, we're not just going to talk about how to use this for entries, but also to use this for your directional bias and price. Now, what is the AMD cycle? Well, the AMD cycle stands for accumulation, manipulation, distribution cycle. Now, I know a bunch of other communities have revamped the name to other things, but the way that I know it as is the AMD cycle. Now, the smart money trap is basically the added manipulation to the AMD cycle. So in today's video, we're going to get right into it. We're not going to sugarcoat anything, but first we're going to look at a couple diagrams real quick. So how and what does the AMD cycle look like, right? It's a very simple pattern. Right, a lot of you have probably seen it before. People have looked at it in two different perspectives, right? So I'm going to draw it out two different ways. The first way is price is generally in a range, right? We see the accumulation, we see the manipulation, and then we see the distribution, right? That is kind of how we recognize the AMD cycle. Now, from a more, I guess you could say, proper approach here, a little less messy diagram, right? And more of SMC terms, we need to see some sort of pressure coming up to the upside or downside, right? After that pressure has come into the market, we need to see price retrace. And then after we have this retracement, we need to see a sweep, right, of that previous high like so, which is right here, right? This right here would be our sweep, right? Now, after that sweep, right, what do we need to see is we need to see price come and have some sort of change of character, which would be right here, right? So this at the bottom here, it would be your change of character. Now, what does this tell us? What is this replicating? Well, in here, this is our accumulation. This is our manipulation. And then this is our distribution. But how do we enter something like so, right? How are we able to catch these types of moves in the market? Well, it's actually very simple. Once we have this change of character, all that we're looking for is some sort of refinement within this area here for price to come back up and or come back up right here and pretty much continue that cycle, right? So this is the basics of what the AMD cycle is. Now, understanding that the AMD cycle is super simple, right? And at this point it has become pretty much overtraded, right? What is the smart money trap? Well, this is, again, everything I'm showing you guys today is to the most basic degree, right? And with this basic foundation of knowledge, what you can do with that is you can go back into the graphs, right? And use this information and back test it, right? Use these as tools to back test for the most part, right? There are a bunch of different patterns associated with the AMD cycle as well as the smart money trap. However, the best way to learn it is building off of the basic foundations, which I'm going to show you here today, right? So now that we understand what the AMD cycle looks like, right? Let's now have an understanding of what the smart money trap looks like. And it's actually very, very similar to what we are seeing here. Right, I'm actually going to take the AMD cycle and I'm just going to manipulate it a little bit here. Right, so what happens here in the AMD cycles? We have this same beginning approach, right? But what happens differently here is that they see that all the smart money traders are seeing this same POI, right? Simply, this POI right here becomes a smart money trap. It is not the only smart money trap in the market, right? I want to emphasize that, right? A lot of people are probably saying, Ben, this is not the only smart money trap that is in the market. No, of course not. But this is definitely one way of looking at it, right? And this is basically how I learned it and the foundation that I learned all the other different types of traps that are associated in the market, right? Basically what's happening here is this is developing within some sort of POI, right? Where we are looking to go short, and this is your confirmation entry, right? And a lot of people are looking to get in on this order flow right here, right? But what people do not understand is that this is actually becoming a trap in the market, right? What do I mean by that? Price actually needs to come all the way back up, take out this POI, right? Have another sweep, right? Have another change of character right here. And now we can perhaps start looking for entries again, right? And this is where we are going to find, right, the better positions in the market. Do you ever find yourself finding this in the market, however, constantly getting tapped out and then going in your direction? Well, that's because this is a smart money trap, right? Now, there's other ways to look at this as well, right? There's other diagrams associated with the smart money trap, right? The best way to kind of explain it is this is the basic diagram of how it all looks. However, once you kind of go into the graphs and you start back testing, you'll eventually see the other variants involved with it, right? Because you are going to see constantly, and I'm going to draw this out really quickly, right? You're going to see the sweep, the change of character, which is going to make that smart money trap. Here's that first sweep, but as we know, we can come sweep for a second time. There's that second sweep. But what most don't realize is we can actually come and sweep a third time, and that third sweep, right, is generally very powerful, right? 3 sweeps to the high generally means we are likely for a reversal after that third sweep, otherwise known as price cycle inducement. If you are unfamiliar with price cycle inducement, please refer to some of my previous videos, and or I think I have a video, I'm pretty sure I do have a video that practically goes over everything about price cycle inducement, a theory that I think was developed by Steve Morrow. I'm not saying Steve Morrow came up with it. It was just out before ICT released all his content after. I'm sure ICT figured this out way before Steve Morrow, no question about it. Anyways, understanding the basics of the AMD cycle and the smart money trap, I think it is best now to go right into the graphs and start back testing these ideologies, right? Yes, I am about to go into hindsight. However, as I explain in every video, it is hindsight that allows me to show the logic more efficiently and faster, right? If I were to do the bar replay, this video would probably go on for an hour or more, right? When I have a team calls with my team, a lot of the time, those calls go way over an hour and a half, right? Because I'm explaining every minute detail within every single candle, right? And in case you don't know at this point, every candle has importance in the market. Every candle is in a range. So definitely note that. Anyways, now that we have the basics, like I said before, let's go ahead and go right into the graphs, right? Now I am going to cherry pick these to what seems to be the most clear, right? And from what I'm looking at so far, right, it looks like we can actually start off. I already see something right here on the 14th. I actually believe I made an Instagram post about this exact setup. So this might be helpful. Now, before I go in and back test, there's one thing I want to clarify. Does the AMD cycle and smart money trap only happen on the M1? Absolutely not. This is fractal, right? The market is fractal. The AMD cycle is happening all over the place, right? It's just all about understanding how to identify it, right? And I'm going to show you a couple different ways in which you can identify it, right? First things first, let's go ahead and start right here in the market. I'm already seeing one kind of pop up as is, right? I'm seeing one on a macro scale right now. What am I seeing? I'm seeing the sweep of these lows. I'm seeing all this as accumulation, right? So here is that accumulation in the market. A lot of you are probably asking or wondering, Ben, you're being subjective here. In a way, when you're looking at the macro timeframes with the AMD cycle, finding your highs and lows can be a bit subjective. I'm not going to say that it isn't, right? But I'm going to show you here in a little bit where the methodical approach actually comes in, right? And that's when we're taking the AMD cycle to the M1, to the M5, and that's when we can make it objective, right? Perhaps I might give a trick or two as to how you can properly, find these AMD cycles as well as smart money traps in the market, right? Looking at it here, though, what is going on? Here we have our accumulation. Now, based off time and price, why do I really like this one so far? I really like this because, one, it's around the Asian session. The Asian session is known for what? Consolidation, right? out of the Asian session, I also understand based on the daily cycle, right, that we normally need to kick either the Asian highs or lows before sustaining a run in the market. Now, if we go back to the daily cycle, right, what I'm already seeing, the variant that I'm seeing right here, I'm seeing that OG variant, aka the Judah swing, aka I don't even know. that there's a couple a couple ways that people call this variant. Basically, what we see is an accumulation in the Asia. We see a kick to lows in Frankfurt or London. We see basically London carry out that move, and then New York makes the reversal, as we can see right here. Accumulation, kick to the lows, sustained run, reversal in New York, right? As we can see, they are practically a very similar pattern. Now, looking at this AMD cycle, what can we assume? We can assume the market is going to be bullish, right? Even at this point here, when we have the sweep, right? This is just confirmation, right? Once we have the sweep of these lows and the confirmation of the change of character, we absolutely know that the market is going to reverse. So what does that tell us from a macro perspective? Well, that tells us that these lows right here are all order flow to this point right here, right? What's going on? Right, we have the accumulation. We have those kicks to the lows, right? We have that change of character. We kick in some order flow at the extreme or extremity of price. We come back in, we tap in, and as you can see, we explode, right? That is how the AMD cycle practically works, right? We do not need to overcomplicate anything here, right? Now, want to make sure. Okay, perfect. Now that we have the macro understanding, how can we trade everything individually in here? And I think this is where some heads are going to turn, right? Seeing the AMD cycle happen on a macro scale, you're probably wondering, does it happen on a micro scale? And the answer to your question is it absolutely does. If we come into this refinement right here, right, we see the AMD cycle is actually happening on a fractal scale. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. And let me just show you. Let me pop on good old fractals here. We can see that we have a nice sweep of the lows right here. I'm going to go ahead and make these a different color. As we can see right here, we have that change of character. Now, what else are we showing here? We also have a nice OB right here that is left unmitigated, right? We have a nice AMD cycle on the 5-minute, right? And then let's look out a little bit more, right? Drag that over. It looks like we mitigated nicely. Sure. What else do we have? As confluence, I'm seeing these equal distant lows as well, right? And of course, as we break higher, I'm seeing this all as a break structure, right? So we have that sweep, we have that change of character. We come up, we induce, break a structure, induce again, we come and tap in, and then the market explodes, right? If we want to view the AMD cycle again, look, here's that sweep, here's that break of structure. What does price do? Price breaks structure, comes back down, mitigates this OB, and then it runs. All we're doing is looking for that same pattern over and over. Sweep, change of character, mitigation, right? Same thing over here. Sweep, change of character. This gives a lot of confluence with those equal distant lows. We come and mitigate and run, right? And as we can see, all the way out here again, all this is creating order flow, right? Accumulation, distribution, or manipulation, distribution, mitigation, right? Or AMD, if you want to call it, right? So hopefully y'all can see, or you guys can see the whole thing based on the AMD cycle here, right? Now, is the AMD cycle always going to work, and where does it not work? It does not work a lot of the time when the market is constantly trending down or there is liquidity resting below, right? If we zoom out here, and I need to go out to a higher time frame. All right, we look a day before, right? We can see there is a whole POI kind of resting here. We know price needs to come all the way over here, right? This is where the market is gapped, right? It's left all this imbalance right here, right? We know the market needs to come here and confirm as it has here to make a really nice move to the upside, right? As we can see, the macro time frame AMD cycle has confirmed that. Now, I want to show you where a lot of people got smart money trapped, right? If we come into here, this area here, let's go ahead and hop into the 5-minute. Seemed to work very nicely. All right, what are we seeing right here, right? We see that we have a really nice sweep of liquidity, right? Inducing what sellers to go short right here, right? Now that sellers are going short at this area here, we can expect the market to come back up. Sure, right? All those sellers are getting trapped in the market. But what am I looking for? That same AMD cycle. Now, I did have this in my Instagram post. I've already seen this before, right? I'm not denying that, but I want to show you the importance of it because it's really important to identify this pattern, right? Especially in different scenarios. You need to find them in the right scenario, right? As we can see here, it's happening over and over again, right? Sweep, change of character, the market trapped. Instead, when the market traps like that, we can do what with it? How do we play the opposite? Well, if we have this AMD cycle and we ended up trapping, right, all the smart money right here trying to go long, we can actually take the opposite and keep shorting down, right? Here is actually confirming the sellers now entering back into the market, right? But like I said before, we have to understand our confluences here, right? If we come back out, I don't really want to come all the way back over here, but there was here. All this right here was inducing. All these equal distant lows right here were all inducing this little piece of supply right here. All right, let me zoom in for you guys. All right, what I'm grabbing right here is this fractal high to fractal low. That's what I use as like my supply demand like areas. All right, that's what works for me at least. Now let's drag this all the way out so I can show you the importance of this. Right? What is going on here? Right? We see that we have trapped these people right below right here. Right? We need to have this sweep for an instant mitigation. I'm going to show you why. Here's that sweep. Here's that change of character. Here's where smart money is trying to get in. When in reality, we need to be entering as soon as we trap. How do we know that? We know that because of the supply that is situated right here, right? Or my fault, the demand. I need to mark this down a little lower. And look, we can even mark all this in as well because all this is also demand, but it's not really needed at this point in time, right? As long as we understand that trap, right? And where do we first target? Right, we want to target most previous highs, right? Or the highs that are right behind it, right? The smart money trap can be a little bit difficult to pretty much trade, but I want to show you the same thing again. Look what happened, right? We had the smart money trap. Remember, it's not easy to catch the buys back up, but rather just catch the order flow. Let's catch the order flow back down, right? Remember what I said. If we have, here we go, sweep, change of character, and we trap, it's easier to take the sells back down. Same thing back over here, right? We have the sweep, change of character, we trap, take the order flow back down, right? That is how we trade that smart money trap. That is one way of trading the smart money trap. There are ways to pick it back up, buys here, sells here, right? There's different ways to trade it, but I recommend just back test with it. All you need to back test is this particular pattern, right? And once you can identify this pattern over and over again, your eyes will start to open up to a bunch of opportunities, right? Let's see if we can find another one here that I haven't seen before, right? It looks like right here we have one, right? If this is another smart money trap, here's that sweep, change of character, we came in trapped, right? What does that mean? That means once we trap, we need to what? Buy. This becomes inducement to what I see as demand. All this right here can act as demand, right? If we wanted to refine it, we could simply take these the group of these fractals right here, right? If you guys want to know how I use fractals, this is kind of how I use them, right? We want to drag it across, and then we get a perfect mitigation like so. How did we know? Because this was a smart money trap, right? Sweep, change of character, we trapped. As soon as we trapped, we knew that we could come back into something to buy, right? This is how I view it, right? And it's what works for me. We even have one right here, right? Sweep, change of character. Now, if you don't already know, we do not always have to come and test. Price can simply break this change of character, right? And run, as it did right here. We're not always going to get entries. Be patient, stay disciplined, right? And just hold yourself true to your setups, right? Only take what's possible and what you've analyzed, right? Don't force anything. But yeah, it is basically just a little gist, a little introduction as to what the AMD cycle is, as well as the smart money trap, right? So let's just go over this one more time from like a diagram perspective. The basis of what I'm seeing is price comes in to a POI like so, right? What we want to see is a nice sweep, change of character, come into here and generally fall, right? And you got to find the confluences to help to have this pattern hold true. Because a lot of the time, what's going to happen? Well, a lot of the time, we actually might have a smart money trap. And how do we know if we're going to have a smart money trap? Let's say there's no POI that we're coming into and the market is just falling over and over and over again, right? Well, if the market is falling over and over and over again, right, like so, it's making this nice movement down to the downside, right? And all of a sudden, have this sweep. Hold on. We have this sweep. We have this change of character. Then all of a sudden, we trap all of SMC right here. What do? Well, we could take these highs here and continue the move back down, right? That is one way of playing the smart money trap. Now, I did show it differently in my Instagram. I didn't show this version of it, but I wanted to keep this for you guys on YouTube, right? So hopefully this will keep you guys out of positions like these and more so in positions like these. Just understand, do your back testing and try and figure out why this actually worked rather than it trapping and coming back to here. There is reason to it, I promise. You just really have to search for it, right? Really back test and go in and really find these things. Now, again, understand this also not just from a micro scale, but from a macro scale, as I've shown here, right? Well, I really hope that this video helped you guys not only with entry positions, but understanding how to confirm certain POIs as well as understanding market direction, as well as understanding manipulation that occurs in the market. On top of that, if you did enjoy today's video, please smash that like button, give a nice subscribe. We absolutely love the support. And at the same time, I really hope you guys just constantly learn from these and are able to build a foundation to continuously trade for yourself. If you do want extra help, we do have mentorship opportunities. If you want to take a look at those, just hit our Discord link and you can see what we offer there as well. If you have any questions, just shoot us a DM and I'll get back to you pretty much as soon as possible. Also, follow us at seisners.trading.journal on Instagram if you just want to have a conversation with us, as well as see me live trade practically almost every single day I am live trading. Now, majority of the time I am live trading just for my students and the VIP chat. However, occasionally I like to give a little bit of insight for my community as well on Instagram and Discord. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.